Yeah. Yeah, hammer him! Yes, holy crap! Yes. Tip down, tip down, tip down!
Come here, baby.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Okay.
Let's let this big girl swim. Dude, that's the biggest snook I've ever seen landed, Brian, by...
That's so
Yeah,
fun.
that best mine by
so fun.
many pounds.
There she goes.
Okay,
Man,
what
well,
do you
man,
what do
well,
you
I
think?
got, come on.
Yeah! Yeah!
Yes.
Woo! Yeah!
That was worth the wait.
Three snook. Perfect cast. Got him. Yes! Snook on. Redington Predator is my go-to rod for snook. It's good for throwing flies really low under the mangroves. I'm also going to show you some casting tips, or sage bass fishing rod actually. So those shorter rods allow you to throw the fly very low and very fast, way up under the mangroves where those big snook are living. They can be very difficult to catch because they lay way back under the brush much of the time. So as far as fly rods go, I like an 8-weight. Shorter is better for throwing the fly up under the brush. Heavier rods, I really don't prefer a heavier rod for snook fishing because the casting is very, very short and very, very accurate, extremely accurate. As far as flies go, unweighted flies, I'm just going to show you a sample of these. We sell these at our shop. That's an Enrico Puglisi, I believe that's a peanut butter pattern. Tarpon toads will also work for snook, which are great because they have a hook that's suitable for tarpon as well. A couple others. That's a tarpon bunny by Enrico Puglisi. That's about the right size. This one's a little bit big. This is a 2/0 right there, and a little bay anchovy. Small, unweighted flies for snook. It would be very rare for you to use a weighted fly for snook. They sit very shallow in the water column and up near the surface. So for snook as well, you're going to use floating lines. Now, fly lines change all the time. By the time you're watching this video, there may be new and better stuff out there, but currently there are two lines that I really like for snook fishing. I really like the one by Airflow, Bruce Chard's Tropical Punch line. I also really like the Rio's General Purpose Tropical line. This is a great line. We sell a ton of these. They work for everything. You can throw large flies, weighted flies, small flies with good effectiveness. I like the General Purpose Tropical line as well. So floating lines for snook. As far as leaders go, drop that one on the ground. 40-pound fluorocarbon tapered leader is appropriate for snook. They have some very sharp edges, especially right around their gill plate. It has a very sharp edge to it. So we use what's called a shock tippet. And a shock tippet is not necessarily just for the shock of the bite and absorbing things. Shock tippet is very thick. It's very abrasion resistant. So this is a product by Rio. This is their fluorocarbon. You can patch your tapered leaders up with this product right here. It comes on a big spool. Get several of these. You're going to patch these up. These leaders are very nice. They're made by Rio. They're pre-tied. It's actually a tarpon leader in the 40-pound fluorocarbon. You can also just use a straight piece of 40-pound fluorocarbon. It doesn't unroll as nice as these ones right here. You're going to do that. You won't qualify for any IGFA records if you catch a fish on this. I'm not sure how many of you are actually worried about that. But get several spools of this. If you're going to use just 8 feet of this or 6 feet of this, get several spools, because although these are large, that's only 20 yards a leader. It comes on a bigger spool so that it's got memory in it. It doesn't come out curly, essentially, like a slinky. This is a little bit more expensive. That's 25 bucks. I do think fluorocarbon's an advantage though. I think with Snook, they actually do have time to analyze your fly. They move very slowly. Snook are not a fast moving fish, and they are going to have time to look at your fly and analyze your fly. So I think fluorocarbon to be an advantage. You can also use standard nylon shock tippet. That's in 40-pound. That's a lot less expensive. It's a little bit more convenient per size. Since it's not fluorocarbon, the kinking or the memory being on a smaller spool is not so much of an issue. So that's the tackle that I like for snook fishing. I do want to show you a couple of casting tips, and then I'll show you just some cool highlights from the last couple of seasons snook fishing in Ascension Bay. Learn this is to practice, and do so before you get to the flats. Spending time practicing when there's fish within casting distance is just silly. So my rod tip's going to come back, it's going to be high, and I'm actually going to drive it forward in a slightly concave motion. When I'm on the casting deck, I'll usually get down like this to help give myself a little advantage on getting low. But my rod tip is still relatively vertical like that, because I need to be able to control the windage and the left and right. As soon as I start casting sidearm like this, I'm just casting in a general direction of the fish. When I set my crosshairs on a fish and I go straight back and straight forward with that nice stroke like that, rod tips high, and project my fly down low, so that it either skips and travels up under the mangroves very low to the water, or it might wind up with a little splat and lay short of the fish where it's not going to disturb anything. I didn't make a mistake. I didn't wind up the mangroves. Snook are not fast swimmers. They're going to be moving slowly. You're going to have ample time to make that shot, but do not hang in the mangroves. The third thing that will happen on this cast is maybe it'll just be a super tight low loop and go right up under the mangroves on its own. The only problem with that is it can land a little harsh. The skip actually softens the blow. So when you're up on deck, ready to get that snook, get down low, relatively overhand cast, and shoot that fly down low using a slightly concave rod stroke. Skip the fly off the water, get yourself a big trophy snook.